I'm Dr. Anthony Harper here, blessed to be with Ruth Guggenheim of Emunah Israel. And so it's great to have you join me, Ruth, about this so important organization, Emunah Israel. And by the way, for those that want to learn more information, of course, they can take a look at your website, which is
emunahisrael.org. Very easy. Emunah, Emunah, Israel.org.
Well, thank you, Ruth, for joining with me tonight. But this is a long history of Emunah Israel. So first of all, I'd like for you to ask you about how you became involved with Emunah Israel, what led up to that.
So when I made Aliyah, I'm originally from the States, obviously, and I lived there my whole life. And at 60, I made Aliyah here to Israel, which was 8 years ago. And I was referred to Emunah because of my background in development and outreach and also engagement with people of multiple faith and building bridges. So I was referred to the global development arm, which was and is World Emunah. And I was hired through World Emunah and created programs of outreach and engagement for people around the world who wanted to get more involved in supporting the people of Israel or just hearing more about what's going on here and engaging. And about 5 years ago, we started what was called, or what is called, the Emunah Angels. It's the Christian outreach arm, which is the branch where I'm currently putting a lot of effort to build bridges between the Jewish and Christian community. Those who love Israel and would like to come and visit Israel, maybe come to Emunah homes. So I represent that branch of Emunah Israel, which is, again, building bridges between the Jewish and Christian community on behalf of the people of Israel.
How many years have you been involved with Emunah Israel?
When I got here, I started working for the corporate Emunah 3 months after I landed in Israel. So I've been very blessed. I've been very blessed because I think it's an amazing organization. Dr. Harper, it's 90, we're going to be celebrating 90 years of existence. We were created originally by a group of Jewish religious Anglo women who helped to take children out of pre-Holocaust Germany and other European countries, and they brought some of the original kinder transports to Israel, some of these children, and created shelters. Then also when the modern day, in 1948, modern day of Israel was created, a lot of our Arab neighbors started to persecute their Jewish population. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of Jews living in Arab countries. They had been for almost 2,000 years, over 2,000 years. But when the modern day, the Medinat Israel, when the modern day of Israel was created, they started to persecute the Jewish families in their community. So a lot of the children were sent here to Israel to find shelter and to survive. And one of the goals of the Emunah women was to try to reunite children, both from Europe, from the Holocaust time, and the Arab communities, the parents and the children. Unfortunately, Dr. Harper, that didn't happen. And most of the parents never made it here, obviously. So the Emunah women had hundreds of young little children to really raise. And that was the beginning of a very structured environment, a very conscious choice to support orphans and abandoned children and to create residential homes to raise these young children. They became our children, and Emunah children are our children, basically. And over the years, literally, we have grown to nearly 160 programs, whether it's residential homes, subsidized daycare centers. Emunah Israel maintains the largest network of crisis counseling centers, emotional mental health services, currently very active because unfortunately with the war, as I know you can imagine, there's a lot of people suffering mental health, emotional trauma, and our counselors are on the front line serving them. We have 13 crisis counseling centers with over 81 team members of 81 counselors. So, that's a part of what we do. We have schools also. We also help women in Israel get scholarships so that they can go to college, that they can become employed, that they can get the services they need so that they become healthy adults and parents. And, all wrapped up together, it's empowering the people of Israel to be the best that they can be. with Emunah. The word Emunah means faith. And it was a very conscious choice when the women started Emunah to call it faith, that we had 100% faith in God and that he would save his people and bring us back and reunite us in the land of Israel, as we're all witnessing now.
So overall, what would you refer to your organization as? Would you refer to humanitarian? What would be the one word?
I don't think one word can sum it up. It is the third largest Israeli humanitarian aid and social service organization because of the expansion of what we do, and we're located literally throughout the whole country. And on any given day, we are serving nearly 10,000 children and families in the Holy Land in our various programs. So humanitarian, social service, more than anything, maybe the one word, caring.
Okay. You mentioned third largest. So what other organization, what's the first largest?
So first of all, the government, the ministry itself, we work with the government. Many of our everything under the Emunah banner is subsidized by the government. We are licensed. Every single project that we have, whether it's schools, daycare centers, or residential homes for the orphans, abandoned, or abused children, all of that, we receive approximately, depending on the program, approximately 65% of our funding comes directly from the government through all of their ministries and their support systems to help the people of Israel. And we are one of their administering organizations, okay? The other ones, when I say the third, it's actually depending on which programs you're looking at, okay? Because, for instance, there are other organizations that have more schools. We have only 4 high schools, okay? But there are organizations like Amit, which is one of Israel's largest organizations exclusively with schools. So they have dozens and dozens of schools throughout the country. So what happened with Emunah, which was very unique, is even though it started as a residential care or shelter for people and families who needed help, every time they needed a program, let's just say a daycare center in a community, because it was a growing young families and children needed daycare, Emunah would turn to the powers that be in Emunah Israel and say, hey, we need a new daycare center in Ashkelon, where I'll just pick something. With Ashkelon, we'll help you build it, and then you guys run it. Okay. So when the government comes knocking at your door, you answer it. So we are definitely partners with that. And again, being that we have one of the largest networks of subsidized emergency crisis counseling centers, 13 is significant in a team of 81. Many of our professionals train other professionals. So again, trauma, as you may be aware, trauma is a very unique mental health issue, anxiety, depression, things that are suffering now during the war. So you may be a social worker or a therapist who specializes in domestic issues, and you're not necessarily as used to something like traumatized, and PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. So our professionals tend to go out into the community to provide resources also, so that other organizations can do the work. There's so much need in this country, just like in America. There's a lot of need. No one agency, no one organization can do it. We have to unite together to help our people.
So part of this care system, you have medical doctors here, maybe even psychiatrists that are involved in any way?
We do not have medical doctors like a heart. So for instance, we have nearly 800 children in our residential homes. These are children that have either been orphaned, abused, or abandoned. And by court order, we raise them from the time they're 6 years old till they're 18 years old. There are medical personnel that are not a part of the Emunah system that our children obviously go to in the healthcare system. We do have in our residential homes, there are psychiatrists, psychologists, and social workers. They also may work outside of the Emunah system. If you're a psychiatrist and you need to be on site for 5 hours a day, let's say, you may go to another office that has nothing to do with Emunah later in the day. On site, though, every day there has to be the professionals, and there are the people that literally live there. There are adults that become like the parents to these children, and the social workers who live there. And so, but again, medical doctors are different. One thing, when you mentioned medical doctors, it brought to mind, Dr. Harper, that one of the unique programs we have for mental health for our children, because if you can relate, young children who have been abused or tortured or violated, they could be 7, 8, 9, 10, even teenagers, have a very difficult time talking about what happened to them. A part of, they're not going to be able to heal. A psychiatrist, a psychologist could be as good as they can be, but a child can't really relate and share some of these horrible memories. So we believe in a very holistic approach. So there's a lot of different modalities of therapies that are brought into the home. One of them is medical clowns. So you may be familiar with medical clowning. I don't know if you have it in the States, but in Israel, a lot of hospitals have doctors that have become like, they are doctors, but they specialize in clowning and mental health issues, so that they're able to go, they're not like, they wear cute clothes and everything, but they look comfortable. The kids get warm to them. They're very warm. They're fuzzy. They're less threatening than sitting down with a therapist across the room and on a couch. And that's not comfortable for an 8, 9, 10-year-old. And we have found that the medical clowns that we basically bring in, they are part-time employed by Emunah. They're contracted to us basically, and they go to all of our residential homes on a rotating basis. And we have found that sometimes these medical clowns are able to have children open up and share something that they've never said to their therapist. That medical clown can then privately share it with the professional, so that the therapist then has a way of working it into the therapeutic sessions.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because in America, there was a very popular film involving Robin Williams, the comedian that played a medical clown.
I had forgotten about that. You're right. Yeah. What I find here with Emunah is they're so progressive. Every time there's something new out there, again, it could be art therapy, it could be sports therapy, it's animal therapy. They try as much as possible to bring all these modalities in, or try new things. And again, being from America and only starting to work at Emunah 8 years ago, I came with a totally clean slate. And I have been so impressed, for such a basically small country, what they're able to do on a social service, humanitarian aid level to try to help the population stay healthy or get the services they need is, I find, amazing. I mean, even during the war, it's a horrific time, as we all know, but yet we're holding it together. The people of Israel are holding it together. There's such a resilience and such emunah, such faith that we'll get through this, that it permeates everything.
Well, part of that treatment program, the holistic, would be involving addressing spiritual needs as well. Sometimes the people have rabbis. Are rabbis available for people that have those spiritual needs?
Yes, it's an innate part of the Emunah system. Emunah itself, again, meaning faith, and as I previously mentioned, was started by a group of religious women. Their goal was to make sure that not only are the physical needs met, but always the spiritual is there. Nothing is forced on any of the children or anything like that, but it is always there. And if you're an adult, let's say, and you're in need of therapy, or something's going on in your life, or right now with the war, so you might be seeing a therapist 1 hour, and the next may be a rabbinic therapist, somebody who can help guide you spiritually. But yes, the spiritual emphasis, the connection with God, the building of a relationship with God is very important to us as individuals, and collectively as a society here in Israel.
Well, I know United States and maybe worldwide that a lot of therapists really aren't trained in understanding some spiritual components of the struggles. So somehow you're able to to get the therapist there to work in conjunction with the rabbis and to be in a supportive way.
I can't guarantee that that's always been the way it is. I can tell you that our therapists tend to be religious Jews.
Oh, okay.
They're high. If you see some of the therapists and all that, you will see the dress, the level of modesty. They themselves are religious. People who gravitate towards Emunah, professional staff
Hmm.
and families in need, tend to be from the more religious part of society. I mean, religion obviously has a huge, umbrella. If you're within the religious lifestyle in Israel, you may or may not know, you might be more right, more traditional, middle, or left. But if you tend to be a traditional Jew within the realm of orthodoxy, as we would say, you're going to gravitate towards a religious organization for your needs. And Emunah is definitely a religious organization that attracts families who are looking for, if you go to an all secular therapist, you're going to get different answers, like you said. So here you're going to come to and again, Emunah is not the only organization in Israel that has a religious foundation to it. So if you're religious, you're going to gravitate towards any one of the religious organizations that can serve your needs with respect and understand who you are as an individual because you're religious and you seek God.
What does a typical day look like as far as assessment and schedules, or is it's all depending upon the situation?
It all depends which institution you're in. If you're one of the 120 day subsidized daycare centers, let's just say, okay, around the country, we have over 120 and they're subsidized. So families can send their children between 6 months and 3 years old. Okay, what you may know or may not is that in Israel, after 3 years old, most of your academic or daycare services over three is help paid for by the government. Between 6 months and 3 years, it is privately funded. So most of the families that we serve can be immigrants, refugees, Ethiopian families. They're relatively poor. So that system, for instance, your day would look like you would drop your child off at an Emunah center at about 7:30 in the morning. You, as the parent, may go off either to school to get your finish schooling or to work, and your child from 7 o'clock until depending which daycare, it's either 5 p.m. they're picked up or 7 p.m. Okay. Your child in that system with Emunah professionals is being taken care of. They're being given, hot breakfast, snacks, lunch. They're bathed, they're clean. We have a special program in our daycare center, which is very unique. I'll share a little bit. It's called the Family Intervention Center. So in addition to the standard daycare center that you and I may have sent our kids to, and they have here, these particular centers, you sign up, and if you're approved, you as the parent make a commitment. Your child comes from 7:30 in the morning, can stay till 7 at night, is also given a warm dinner, is bathed and given warm pajamas before he or she goes home. And the fact that they're given a warm dinner means you, as a single parent, picking up your child, you're normally really exhausted at 6:37 at night. The last thing you want to do is cook dinner for your kid or bathe them, right? You're just stressed out. So the Emunah professionals realized the real need was to support these families. So if they could extend the day and help the families intervene and help the families be better parents, one way was let them come pick up their child at 7 o'clock at night. If he or she's already fed and cleaned, that means that last hour you could sit on the couch reading a book. And by the way, we give free books also. It's called PJ Library. So it's a way of helping the family unite, the way of an exhausted parent being able to love his or her child at the end of the day and not feel overwhelmed. The other thing, if you sign up for the family intervention programs, you're agreeing to go to workshops, family workshops, so that you become a better parent. It could include nutrition, it could include medical care, it could just include mentorships, like you get a mentor of let's say a woman that has already been a mom and has raised children, and you as a 19-year-old single mother, now you have like a 40-year-old woman who's helping guide you and just mentor you and be there. At the end of the day, that means a tremendous amount to people who have never had that kind of care before. So that's what a day in the daycare center might be. If you're a therapist, though, in the Emunah Therapy Center, it may mean that you're seeing 14 clients. Our therapists tend to work right now 10 to 12 hours a day. It's very overwhelming because there's such a need. People are on waiting lists across the country to be served, to get therapy, to get support during this very, very difficult time. So you could see 10, 12, 14 clients a day. That's also emotionally very taxing on the professional.
Yeah, and part of that, I know that in the U.S. and actually around the world, there's a burnout that can happen. So, like, what support services are provided to the therapists? That, I mean, that sounds like an exhausting schedule, and I don't know how you could keep that up on a regular basis without a major reprieve.
They can. I mean, right now there's a huge, to be honest, a huge burnout, especially from the war situation, because again, everybody kicked into high gear right away and needed to help support the soldiers, the hostage families, the reservists. There's everything that we know, and there is tremendous burnout. I'm not going to say there isn't. And one of the needs is to hire more therapists, and they're finding that they can't. There's a shortage in the country right now. So part of the problem that even that Emunah and other systems, the government for sure needs to look at is, one, supporting the therapists. They do get professional training. They also can take sabbaticals. They can take time off. But right now, when it's such an emergency and crisis in our country at this point, there are no easy answers. There is a lot of therapists that need to just take time off, but they can't.
Okay, I know it's a very serious issue, so I just wanted to convey before I forget about a lot of Christians in America.
Wait, excuse me. Okay. Somebody was trying to call me. Sorry.
Well, I understand that situation. I just wanted to convey, a lot of Christians in America are praying for all of you in Israel. It's so sad about what has happened on October 7th, a brutal attack, so evil attacked by Hamas. And so we're many Christian people in America praying and supporting financially in many other ways Israel, and hopefully that you'll be able to get a lot more good therapists, to fill in, to give the therapists here a break, which I know that they sorely need. So there are a lot of serious issues I know that you deal with. What would you like for people to know more about how they can get involved with Emunah Israel?
Well, thank you, Dr. Harper, for asking me that. Number one, we do greatly appreciate all the prayers that our friends in America and all over the world are sending. We need your friendship. We need your prayers. And, thank God for the Christian community that does have a heart and love for Israel. We don't take it for granted, trust me. So beyond the prayers, and also sharing in your churches. Number one, I think educating and raising awareness in the churches or groups. It could be home groups. So here you and I are on a Zoom call. I do Zoom calls all the time around the country where people bring together friends on a Zoom call and we talk. We have like a Tuesday night. We have a live show every Tuesday night, which happy to send information to your group. It's about things happening here in Israel, and there's interviews in that. It's a 45-minute call. But spreading the word about Emunah and raising awareness is number one. So we have speakers, we have programs. Again, you can get on our email, and you could write to me at Ruth, RUTH, at worldemunah.org, and we will put you on our list. I would be happy to answer any of your questions, send some flyers, some information that you could share with your pastor or your groups. That would be number one. And clearly, anybody who would like to support us, Dr. Harper, would be a true blessing. You can go online on our website, emunahisrael.org, and there's a donate button, and obviously, anything that you as an individual or collectively as a group would like to support, we would be blessed.
Well, thank you for sharing that information, Ruth. And I'm really concerned about, still back again to the therapists that are burning out. How can you get more good therapists to fill that need? I know that, worldwide, I mean, there are just so many that can speak Hebrew fluently. I would imagine that would be a basic requirement for therapists to speak Hebrew
Yes.
fluently.
No, that's a
So
good point.
I
In
think it's
Israel, though,
tough.
you should know some of our therapists, we have multilingual therapists. We have Russian speaking therapists. We have
Mhm.
those who, speak. We have a lot of French people now that have come in that. So we do try to get multilingual. One way, Dr. Harper, is honestly, we've had burnout, and they get paid very low compared to the States. In the States, people
Mhm.
pay top dollar for a 50-minute hour of therapy. You pay $120, $130 easily. Here, a therapist gets paid the equivalent of like 40, 35, $40 an hour. Okay.
Mm.
So that's very little for a professional, but that's what it is here. And I think also we just finished a campaign, which will start again, a mental health campaign, again, to raise money to help subsidize clients who need therapy, but also to help the therapist get a raise. We have
Mhm.
therapists that they haven't had raises in 3, 4 years are saying. And, so that's also, it impacts psychologically. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're underpaid and you're seeing all these people, you want to be appreciated yourself. So we have to respect that.
Mhm. I know it's a very troubling time for what you're all going through here in Israel. And I first heard about you through my good friend connected with Christians United for Israel.
Paul,
Yes. And
yes,
so Christians
I
United
love him. He's amazing.
yeah.
I'm
And
hoping to go to Idaho, by the way. I could meet you there if I get there.
it would be great to meet you there. And he conveys his best wishes to say hello to you and how much he appreciates you. But and I was just curious about Christians United for Israel in general. Uh, how are they? Have they been formally or are they informally connected to Emunah Israel?
I don't know if you call it formally or informally. We certainly have friends at CUFI, Christians United for Israel, and thank God, Pastor Hagee and the Hagee Ministries have been supportive the last 4 years. Emunah projects have been recipients of some generous support from the Hagee Ministries. So we have individuals like Paul, who I've met and we work through and we try to bring programs to the community in conjunction with CUFI. But again, the Hagee Ministry / CUFI support some of our projects, and they have for 4 years now and running. So we are very appreciative. There are other,
Well,
just for your knowledge, I mean, there are other, thank God, many other Christian organizations that have come alongside Emunah. They learn about us. They want to help. They come to Israel. If there's ample time, we try to do some traveling with them, take them to some of our residential homes or different projects. We're looking to have, and I will send you, Dr. Harper, with your permission, information. Like we're looking to have a tour, a mission come the fall season and everything, where people can come and we'll do like a 5-day mission. They'll see parts of Israel, but they'll also interact in Emunah projects and volunteer and do some work with us.
okay. And then I was thinking about, as part of how people can get involved with on your website, is there like a promotional video or an interactive video people can learn a little bit more through that visual connection?
There is a video for sure on the website. There's also worldemunah.org website. They, I think, have a different video, but once you connect up, we have lots of videos. That's not an issue, but
Mhm.
I don't think on the website, I know you open it and there is a visual, and there is a video you can watch. The other thing is people may want to join our Facebook and Instagram. So on Facebook, there's definitely a way of staying in touch with us. We post every couple of days. Our Facebook is called Emunah Angels of Israel. You have to add the word angels. Our project is called the Angels. Okay, so Emunah Angels of Israel on Facebook and Instagram. Okay.
Okay, that's good to know. What about X, previously known as
X.
Twitter?
Oh, I'm not into Twitter.
Oh, okay,
We'll get there, but I'm not there yet. I just
okay.
Twitter drives me crazy, or X. So we're not
Oh,
on
okay.
that yet. Okay.
Yeah, there's so many different social media platforms. I know, but
Yeah.
I do thank you for sharing with our audience so important information about
Yeah.
Emunah Israel, and of course the other elements of that, of World Emunah and more that people can learn from your website. Finally, just to remind people about your website again for Emunah Israel.
EmunahIsrael.org. And Emunah is EMUNAH, Israel.org. So that's the easiest one to remember. EmunahIsrael.org or worldemunah.org. But Emunah Israel is the one that will take you to the right place. Maybe also, Dr. Harper, I can send to you other information in terms of some links that if you want to share later on at another time that's appropriate with your followers.
That would be great.
Okay, and again, people can write to me at Ruth at worldemunah.org, RUTH, Ruth at worldemunah.org. Okay.
Well, thank you, Ruth, for sharing this so important information. I just encourage people that are watching this video to pray not only for Ruth, but everyone here in Israel. And especially, I think about those therapists and others that are helping that are burning out or they're really exhausted because in light of the war, this October 7th, there is so much trauma, so much pain, and people need a lot of support here. And thank you, Ruth, for sharing with your audience about all this important information. And I look forward to meeting you, maybe in Idaho or somewhere else. You never know.
But back in Israel, when next time we can schedule things differently. But thank you for the time and for taking the time to interview me and talk to me and share with your audience. Have a blessed day and safe trip back home.
Well, thank you. All the way back to the United States. Thank you, Ruth.
Take care. Good night.